So, we finally had our first patch since the stat crunch came out, and of course, as promised, a lot of bugs were fixed with the stat crunch. The mitigations on enemies are normal. Some stats that were too high or too low were changed, like Glee for Berg or the healing runestone for rune-keeper. And how does the game feel now after this patch? Before looking at any runs that I was doing, let's take a look at this. Yes, the chisel was fixed for Gundabad here, but then like you go back and you look at Minas Ithil, still 65k crit. Ironfold, same thing. Doomfold, same thing, just way too high crit on the items. And I feel like if you had time to fix the Gundabad chisel, why not just do the whole, like all the chisels, you know? But I guess for the next patch is when the chisel will be fixed, because the patch notes did state that there's still work left to be done. So I guess if you're a rune-keeper and you want to use these OP chisels, go ahead, but it's not a major problem. Like the mitigations in the last patch was a way bigger problem than this. It just means that, I mean, arcades can run way over capped on crit if they prefer. But like I said, it's not as big of a problem as stats that are out of tune or if mitigations aren't proper. So how does the game feel now that we don't have the OP old legendary items and everything should be as it was before? But is it? That's the question. I'm just gonna play some footage of my raid yesterday. So this is boss 2 on tier 3 of Gwathrenost. I'm playing Red Mini. And I would say we have like a pretty standard comp here. We were trying out the Blue Bear, and Blue Bear looks pretty strong actually. There's a lot of evades happening and everything. But I would say like the run itself felt pretty normal, I would say. It felt like just as before. We were actually struggling quite a while on this boss because we had kind of a puggy group until we replaced some of the pugs with more experienced players. And once we like got I would say like a proper group that knows what to do, all that stuff, it felt like a standard kill. And like the whole instance, I would say felt pretty much the same as before. So if people were worried about the stat squish, if it was going to change a lot of things, I wouldn't feel too worried. It felt pretty normal here for sure. Obviously, compared to before the stat squish, we did get a boost to our legendary items, like another Li Reforge. So obviously we're gonna be a little bit stronger than we were before. But overall, the difficulty felt fine compared to any other tier 3s that I've done before. Once we finally got like a solid group, we did actually one-shot every boss from this point, and it was fairly fine. So I would say that if you had any worries about it, it's fine in my opinion. And I actually like kind of how Blue Bear fits into a comp. Obviously you might lose, like if they take the brawler spot, you might lose some brawler buffs, all that stuff, but it's certainly viable. Blue Bear, really tanky, high morale, and it seems like the Yellow Bear can still defend a spot in a raid. So I would say yellow and blue, really well done, really good rework. Not quite sure about the Red Bear yet. I haven't really played much myself. I know I have some friends who are gearing up for it. So once I get to run with some of the Red Bears that I know, we should get a better idea for how it works. I feel like for the future, my raiding group are probably going to be trying some tier 5s. We're probably going to experiment a bit with the new classes, well, with the new Bjorning specs. Probably going to try Red Bear at some point, probably going to try Blue Bear. Like on this point, on tier 5, I think Blue Bear can do really well. Like the Blue Bear can be the Shard and Woman tank. They have a lot of good cooldowns they can rotate. So Blue Bear can for sure fit into a raid setting, even for high tiers, in my opinion. But the question is always, do you lose any group support? Like if you drop the Brawler, you're probably going to lose some stuff. Do you drop the Yellow Bear? Do you bring a Blue Mini? There's a lot of questions about the meta right now. So hopefully my group can get some tier 5 runs in. And maybe even try a red guard. See how the red guard does in a raid. There's always that one spot in a raid where there's like a flexible spot for the DPS. Typically right now it's like a second hunter or a red brawler typically. And maybe even red RK might be in a good spot for DPS. A lot of interesting things to figure out. And hopefully we can get some higher tier rating done to see what's going on. But me personally at least, I think that Yellow Bear will probably stay. It's still pretty strong in my opinion. Even though it lost some of its raid-wide healing. At least when I played Yellow Bear, I think it felt really nice. So we'll see what happens with the grip comps, but it's certainly a good sign that you have to like consider bringing the different classes that get reworked. It means that the reworks actually have an impact on the game. So it's going to be interesting to see the different Bjorning specs as well as the Red Guardian to see if they fit into a raiding group. But it definitely seems like the different specs have been made at least viable for tier 3 and possibly viable for tier 5. So it's going to be interesting over the next few weeks to see how those classes do in raids. But other than that, I'm a really big fan of this stat crunch. Smaller numbers, always nicer to look at instead of like billions and trillions of numbers. And I'm really happy they decided to do the stat crunch. Obviously, some bugs like the RK shizzles are minor things that still needs to be fixed. But for me at least, a big thumbs up to the stat crunch, the bear rework and the guard rework. And I can't wait to see how they fit into raid groups. So hopefully people will have fun with the new reworks, and for me at least, these changes looks like a big success for the game. Hey! Hey you! Yeah you! What do you want? You enjoy my content and you want to support me? Fine, I'll show you how you can do it. I would really appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to my channel. You can also support me through my Ko-fi homepage. If you're playing or looking to play Lord of the Rings online, there is one place you need to be. The Ghyniverse is a Discord server created for the community of the players of Lord of the Rings Online. The server is getting close to 7,000 members, and in this server you'll find tons of helpful information. There's monthly giveaways, easy access to patch notes, you can keep up with my YouTube videos, my streams. If you're a streamer, you can ask for the streamer role and you can announce your streams in the other stream channel. There are discussion channels for pretty much everything, every class, monster players. But the best thing about this server is probably the Gearing Resources tab, where you can find anything from trait lines for every class, every build. There are stat goals, where you can find out what stats you should aim for on your characters. Really helpful information about drop rates from instances, as well as screenshot from all the new loot that appears in the game. If you enjoy LOTRO, you should definitely consider joining this server, and hopefully I'll see you in Middle-earth. If you were part of the Ghyniverse already, you might have noticed that another tab appeared at the top, the LFF server. This server is a brand new server that I created, the LFF Ghyniverse. In this server, you can select which servers you want to keep up with, and once you select your server, say you select Arkenstone, you will see the LFF, the kinship advertisement, looking for kinship and trade channels, and there's also voice channels if people want to use those. The LFF channel is basically a looking for fellowship channel where people can post if they need players for the runs, and this way people don't have to be logged into the game to see the chat, they can just instead get a notification on their Discord. There's also a kinship advertisement page where kins can post their kinship advertisement and have people join their kins, and you can also post in the looking for kinship chat if you're looking for a kinship, but make sure to take a look in the kinship advertisement first and look through all the kin to find a suitable kin for you. There's also a trade channel if people want to buy or sell stuff that you can use. Hopefully you'll consider joining this server to bring the community even more together, not just in the game, but also outside of the game.